Today on Tech Beyond Gender podcast, we are joined by Viji, a powerhouse in the tech industry with over 25 years of experience spanning in consulting, delivery, and digital transformation across Asia-Pacific. She's currently the sales head for TCS in the region, driving strategic growth across industries. Based in Singapore and originally from India, Viji's journey is a remarkable blend of resilience, leadership, and impact, both in boardroom and beyond. Let's dive into her story. Welcome, Viji. Nice to have you here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much, Meena. Thank you for having me in. I hope we'll have some wonderful conversation for the next 1 hour.
Yeah, and you're the first guest from Singapore as well, so I'm quite excited to have you with us.
That's exciting too. So probably I'll have a lot more untouched areas to speak about.
Yeah. So now, can you take us back to your childhood? Where did you grow up, and what were your early influences?
Okay, so taking back to my childhood, I was brought up in Chennai, a metro in southern part of India. Right. So the good thing is that I had a very good educational system back in India. My parents were very keen in giving probably the best of education that was available at that point in time in India. So my entire childhood has been driven by ensuring that number one, I have a right platform at home for my academics, and the entire life was revolving around doing well in school. Right, so nothing beyond. So the exposures were limited in terms of no even thinking where would I land or what it takes or the ambitions, so-called ambitions that typically a child would have, etc. Probably I did not have much of those, but the only one ambition was excel in do well in what you're doing. Right, at that point in time it was just academics, and with good guidance from my parents in terms of just focusing on that and probably not getting distracted with other stuff. Generally a kid at that age in that time frame would typically get involved. I got that comfort, and from my ambitions and looking at what I really want to become, the kind of technology awareness that I had, I would say that it was very minimal. And as and when I grew up, and it was through gradual learning that I was getting more and more aware of what was happening in the technology front. That was all later in my school life, I would say. So complete focus on academics is what I was into, and there was no specific ambitions of per se that I would say I had as a child that I wanted to pursue. That's how I started my younger formative years.
So, what really sparked your interest in technology?
So good thing is that I was a good student academically, and I had a flair in science I mean I would call a STEM kind of subjects. I was quite good at it. So science, mathematics, and etc. And that obviously was a boost in terms of having good academic abilities in those subjects. And those were the initial days when computers were introduced in schools. I mean, we got introduced to programming language where we used to do Pascal programming. Of course, many of the kids wouldn't even have heard about those names these generations. But so when I started programming, I think that triggered that I was really good in logical reasoning and a structured way of doing things. So that was probably one thing, because I was way apart in the class that time, even though it was an initial introduction, and that set a confidence in me that yeah, this is the right thing that I need to go into. So subsequent higher education I wanted to pursue in technology, focusing on the computers and computer applications, etc. And I would say that introduction and having an realization of the power of computing, right? So that was the trigger, I would say, in terms of me getting into that field, rather than having as an ambition being driven towards that. It was an exposure that led me to that ambition. That's how I started with specifically on the space where I'm currently in.
So, were there any challenges or barriers that you experienced either during education or when you stepped into the industry?
Okay, interesting question. See, if I now reflect back and think about what kind of challenges at that point in time, I would say that most of the things were kind of self-induced, I would say. If I think about what held me at times back, probably I would say a little more lacking in self-confidence, because as probably I do not know if I have to attribute this to this women characteristics, where you would have heard this from multiple women leaders, right, on how women approach things. For example, if there are 10 skills for you to apply for a job, even if I have 7, I would think that I'm not qualified. Versus an opposite gender, they think that, even if they have 3 out of 10, they think that they can always catch up when they go on, right? So despite being a topper, I would say, in school and my universities, I always had an hesitance when I have to really come out and speak out and grab opportunities. I always had a element of doubt in me whether I'll be able to do that. This is despite being a topper in the schools and universities. So if I now reflect back, if a person like me who was kind of doing very well in academics, if it's holding me back, then what if a person who is not having a right platform, what level of confidence they have to really extremely built in. So that's what I actually I have taken as a learning, and I talk when I talk to my team and all that, I always give this as an example. So most of the challenges I feel were self-induced, and as long as we are able to break that barrier, at least the kind, maybe it is because of the kind of institutions I studied and the kind of organization that I've been working and I'm working in today, there were always people who were kind of embracing good thoughts, and there was no what do I say, no restrictions based on any such things, but more often it was a self-induced restriction and challenges that I would attribute to.
You mentioned about your confidence level being more self-induced, right? And do you think your cultural influences may have some influence on your behavior, your cultural environment where you grew up in? Do you think that could have possibly had an influence on your self-confidence?
Possibly, because 25 years back, in a very conservative society that I grew up in, girls were supposed to do only certain things, and even in a family occasion, you'll have to think twice before you talk, because say no generally there's a very easy comment that people put in, which our parents and grandparents were not comfortable to be heard, to be heard about myself, right? So that was a context in which I grew up, and it was always, there was a level of hesitation to openly talk, especially if it's going to be a larger forum and all that. So probably that could be one thing that has been ingrained as an individual as I grew up, and always kind of little holding back. That could be definitely a reason. But the second reason I would probably attribute is the kind of exposures that I got at that point in time. That again, because probably of the societal setup that was in place then, right? So even if I'm permitted to go to university, or to pursue something additional beyond my university, there has been always a framework to say that I have to be back in this time, not just for the heck of being back, also for a lot of security, safety reasons and all that. And that obviously constrains you as an individual, for example, to go as a group and explore certain things and all that. So yeah, there could be certain things which the culture, the societal setup, etc. But I think it is more important, as I mean, at least for my sake, as I got lot more exposure, I saw a lot more people. And when I started analyzing and what exactly is the difference that I see in the others, and how I should be able to, how I should overcome those. I think those are things that gradually came in as experience. But as a person during my formative years, there were certain things that were because of those kind of setup, which was also putting a lot of challenges on me.
Yeah, so this is something that I could relate to, and many, many women listening to it might be able to relate to it, right? Like coming from a culture, very conservative culture, where you said, like, even speaking up in a culture, like family event, is you're hesitant. And now you are a head of sales, right, in TCS in Asia Pacific. So what did you actually do? What effort did you put in at your end to actually come out from that shell? What triggered you to push your boundaries and go for what you wanted?
So if you really see, if I take my career path, right? So most of the roles I have been doing, I was technically sound, and I was really focusing on solutioning, building strategy, doing consulting, etc. But sales had a different set of skills that I have to really have, no, little more outspeaking, and no kind of networking, and if you have to be very open, just keep nagging. No, you cannot think twice, because you will lose your opportunity, right? If I get an opportunity, I wouldn't even have a time to go and should I go speak or not speak, kind of the things you can't even have. So those are the difficult things that I had, and I had to put conscious effort to really break that out, right? So I think what helped me was, over a period of time, the confidence that I saw my stakeholders had in me. I think that helped me to a great extent as an individual, to say that yeah, of course, people, I could sense that my output is being respected, my contributions are being really praised about, and added value to the stakeholders, right, including customers, internal stakeholders, and my own team, etc. To take up a sales head role, definitely needed a lot more openness, a lot more networking needs, lot more talking in open forums, even lot more public speaking, to make your brand and your personal brand being more visible to the the market that you're operating in, right? So that was very, very important, and I had to really take significant effort from my side in terms of figuring out what I should be doing. So there were a lot of, so I had a lot of mentorship that I was having, in terms of even some of my peers were my mentors at times, right? So who would be able to tell us in terms of what I should be really doing and what I should not be doing, etc., etc. So one couple of things that I picked were obviously to become a little more open, to grab opportunities, especially when it comes to creating my brand in the market, my personal brand as well as my company brand. So that was very important. And the initial couple of events were difficult, but as and when I started moving and just now start sitting on the dais and talking, things got uneasy, because the subject was not at all difficult. That's what I realized. So when I started talking, the content was all there. It was more of the discomfort. It was more of very behavioral and such things which were very difficult for me, and which obviously had to be kind of, or rather I'm working on, I should say, to overcome all those. So that is how, in being a good SME in your subject, and that definitely helped me to overcome this, I should say. I think that was the one factor that helped me to build a lot more confidence in taking up the sales role, which I knew that was one of the areas that it was completely an uncomfortable zone for me to come out of. uh, the solutioning strategic role, which was probably not a selling role. Of course, it had a selling element to it, but it was not pure play sales. So pure play sales has a little more different attributes. Thanks to my organization, my bosses who believed that I would be able to overcome this and I'll be able to still do that, and having to have it, the trust and giving me this opportunity as well.
So, what specific techniques or tools really helped you gain the confidence in a sales role? Because I understand, like, you started off from being a very technical oriented person from university. You loved being in technology. You were very hands on technical, and then moving to strategy, architecture, and then sales. Obviously, it requires a completely different skill set, as you mentioned, and being able to have the confidence to go out and speak. Were there any specific tools or techniques which you always hold on to or fall back on?
So specifically, I would do a lot of preparation. Any, for example, if I have to even attend an event as a, not as a speaker, but just for my networking perspective, say there's a partner event that I need to go and attend, I will do a good amount of research to find out who are the people who are there and what kind of conversations that I have to have. So a lot of homework and preparation definitely had to be done, because it did not come naturally to me. Right. So I had to really figure out, for example, if I go into this particular event in this country, and I know obviously most of the times you would have the attendee list with me. Right. So doing some bit of research, picking up a couple of topics that will help me to break the ice. That was the most difficult part. Once you have that initial tone of the conversation kicking in, having subsequent conversation becomes very easy, because as I said, both of us, I mean, the other person that I'm communicating to as well as me are in the same industry, and we have a lot of things to talk about once you get into that once you break that initial mode. So of course, as a speaker, if I have to go, that definitely needs a significant preparation. Any event I go, I understand about the happenings of that particular country or certain global topics that I have to be on top of, and some technology trends that I need to be, which will resonate well with that individual. So that homework was the one that I typically do is when I go to events where I absolutely meet people whom I do not know, have not met earlier. Right, that helped me to start be the conversation starters. And beyond that, once people know that we are talking sense, continuing the conversations was never a difficult task for me. So that initial breaker was a difficult one, which needs a meticulous effort in terms of preparing myself and being aware of whom I'm meeting to and what would make sense in breaking or that bringing that beginning that conversation.
So, initially, we did talk about cultural influence, right? Growing up in India. And now you live in Singapore and you are head of sales in Asia Pacific. Now, once again, I would assume that there would still be some cultural influences. There are certain things which haven't changed from last 25 years in certain parts of the world too, right? Has that caused any challenges for you from work front, going to these meetings or workshops or attending conferences where you felt a little bit uncomfortable?
Um, there are a lot of uncomfortable moments. I wouldn't say there were not. One good thing is that I've learned to be uncomfortable, and I have also learned how I cannot get impacted with that uncomfort. I think that's the biggest learning that I have. So there are many meetings, for example, at times, no, or events where it will become absolutely unpleasant. You wouldn't really, be able to connect, and there will be a lot of challenges in terms of, making the right conversations. But I have learned on how I should still carry on without really getting impacted. Earlier, I would be really stressful about those. And I would definitely wanted to just wait for when this event is going to end so that I can run out. Right? I have even had such kind of situations, but now I know that I know that it's not impacting me anymore. And how do I navigate through that uncomfortable situations? I think I have learned that, uh, and I think that that's what is really helping me to sail things through. And one other good thing is that if I take Asia Pacific specifically, there are countries which are still very conservative in nature, right? Even at the executive levels and so on, if you see, there are people who have a very clear view of what it means to come from a conservative society, right? So there's a good understanding as well, and that also helps me to navigate through, because I know that the other party understands as well. So multiple situations, but there are challenges, and I'm able to navigate these things much better these days. I think probably it comes with experience.
Mhm. So, what were some pivotal moments or defining career moves that shaped your journey?
First thing is, when I started my career, I was a pure play business intelligence consultant. That was a booming area when I started my career: data warehouse, business intelligence, and so on. And I was a very strong consultant, a very most sorted out person when it came to, picking people for project, etc. So I was, the first 10 years of my career has been always in that space, right? And then obviously when you are in that, your growth opportunities kind of were limited, because if I have to really grow and probably take up a lot more bigger roles, you will have to diversify, you have to bring a lot more breadth in terms of what you would cover, etc., which meant that I had to come out of my comfort zone very clearly. So the first, I mean, um, I got an opportunity to head some a particular business transformation for a customer in Singapore. And the reason why I was very reluctant initially, because number one, business transformation comes with its own set of challenges, and second, I have not been no really worked anything out of the BA space. So the first pivotal moment for me was to embrace that opportunity and take the challenge head on. I think that was the first thing that I think helped me to probably come out of the shell, I would say, where I was very comfortable in doing what I was good at, and taking something really in an uncomfortable, unfamiliar territory, and embracing that opportunity at the right time, because opportunity will not wait for you. And second thing is, when I was doing this business transformation, of course, it was a very challenging project, and it needed a lot of sacrifices in multiple fronts, right? So at times, it's very important that you do take up such assignments, but otherwise, you're not going to really learn, right? So the taking up that project gave me a completely a different dimension on how to manage the CXOs of the organization. How do I rightly present? How do I navigate through systems and people? How do I enable change in an organization? How do I make my own people, motivated to contribute? Because this will lead a lot of slogging, and people, a fatigue easily sets into the system. So how do I really motivate people to contribute? So multiple factors. So the key learning there was, rather than an individual contributor, having a resilient team, which can be a better way of attaining your objective. That was another big learning. And at times taking such tough projects definitely shape you really well. And I think those are the three things, two things I would say. Take up challenges, embrace opportunity as it comes, and give your full focus and heart and soul to it. I think these are the things which came on my way, and that redefined my career path, and I started moving towards various other roles instead of getting constrained with the core technology, the only technology that I was earlier working on for the first 10 years of my career.
So, you did vaguely touch very briefly about sacrifices while you were actually involved in the business transformation project in Singapore, right? How did your personal and family life support you in this growth as well? How did you navigate both seamlessly?
See, the first thing is that usually the typical question or typical phrase that comes in is work-life balance, right? So in my view, I think it is about integrating both. Work is life and life is work, and they are all integral parts, and there's not, it is about how do you create a support system that is going to enable you to work in either spaces. That's what is very, very important. When it comes to the home front, personal front, it is about how do I have a right domestic system that's going to work as usual in a business as usual mode, even if you're not around, right? So that kind of things, how do you enable? And it may not be easy from day one, but you'll have to ensure that that kind of system is there. In my case, my husband was very supportive, and I had a system where I was able to at least ensure that my house front runs on a normal business mode for a couple of days, even if I'm not around. So that is the first thing that you need to figure out, and everybody will have their own way of making this particular thing work on. And on professional side as well, you need some kind of flexibility, right? At times, there will be something critical need in both business as well as personal front. It is about how do you prioritize at that point in time, right? There is nothing that one takes over the other. It is about which needs utmost care at that point in time. So you have to prioritize. And at professional front, you should just have that flexibility such that you're able to attend to the most important task at that point in time. It could be personal side, if your child is sick, for example, right? For having that flexibility at home, work, it doesn't come on day one as well. That also has to be created. It has to be created by demonstrating your values, the certainty that you give back to the organization. The moment you give that to the organization, you get that space of where you can get the flexibility that you want to operate. It also doesn't come just like as a part of my package you get this. No, it's not that. You need to create that. Just like you create a personal system that works at your home, it's important that you create that system at your workplace also by virtue of your work. So you do your things, you show the value of your work, you create the certainty experience your stakeholders at work, which obviously will give you that space that enables you to prioritize the most important task at that point in time. I think integrating both and managing is what I would say that has helped me. And of course, all the stakeholders would understand as long as you're able to make them understand. That's my learning so far, Meena.
So, how did you manage to navigate motherhood along with your very busy career?
Yeah, mine was even a very, I would say, I wouldn't want to call unique, but a challenging ask, because my younger one was a special child as well, neurodivergent child. And for me, I was not really aware of such issues, and it needed a lot of understanding first. First thing, awareness rather. I absolutely was unaware of what it meant to me, what it means to the child, what it meant to the family, to the next round of societal circle. Nothing I was aware of. So it was a very, very, very tough phase when I initially discovered this, that there is an issue that I need to attend to. And as you know, typically, especially for women, that is that we have a lot of conflicting priorities, because that's the age where you're fast growing in your career, and you need to give the utmost attention to your family as well. So it becomes very, very tough. And there were many times that I have thought whether I should quit, because especially when the child needs attention, and not a normal child probably will need more attention, more of mother care, etc. I was a lot of struggles internally, in terms of even thinking that probably I should just quit and focus on the child, right? So those were very, very tough moments that I have had. But what I really learned was, um, if I have to be really brutal in terms of choosing to continue, because it needed a lot of financial assistance, especially to give adequate care, for the child, to test out, because we are only testing out lot of therapies, early intervention programs, etc., which were quite expensive, and it would probably become very difficult if I had to quit my job. Right. So yeah, so that actually forced me to not to quit as well. When I was absolutely in denial mode. Originally, I was absolutely in denial mode, which impacted my work significantly. That the first 2-3 years after I discovered, probably my child was around 9-10 months when I knew that there was some issue, and the first 2-3 years I was absolutely not doing great, and it impacted my work very significantly. And that was the period, I would say, the most dull point of my career, where I was probably not able to pay a lot of attention, etc. Then again, I think thanks to a lot of friends who were able to mentor me a lot. And now I was first thing I went into was the acceptance mode. The moment I started accepting and I wanted to definitely give the best to my child, that's when things started opening up for me. That acceptance, saying that yes, this is what it is, and let me figure out what I should do now. And then I was able to really make myself better. That I was able to see a lot of positive changes in my child as well. The moment I became positive, the child was also becoming very positive, and it was unimaginable, to be very frank. We all say no, it's like some point in time, and it was a vicious cycle, right? I mean, I rather a positive cycle, I would say. The more and I became positive, and I'm seeing the child progress being much better, the work being much better, and it only becomes better and better, right? So that moment of realization, coming out from the denial mode, getting into the acceptance mode, and just focusing on, okay, fine, what I should do now. So I think that was the biggest turning point, I would say. And after that, it has been only upward with my child as well as my profession. The 3-4 years where I had been in this kind of a denial mode is when I really struggled significantly. But I think with the help, that part of coming out of it, I should definitely attribute to my network, my friends, my colleagues, who were and lot of research and studies that I did to figure out what I should be really doing. All that really helped me. And beyond that, I think now I'm able to juggle that very well. And that entire attitude to life changed. I became a very positive person. I think that really helped in both professional and personal front. I'm not able to really articulate it well, but this is my sincere submission actually. Becoming very positive in life, taking things very positively and moving ahead really helped me, because it only attracted more and more positive things in life.
That's amazing, right? Like kids see you and learn from you. And if you are positive and if you are strong and you are very deterministic, they are definitely going to learn all those good aspects from you. And I'm sure what you've experienced in the personal front could have really shaped your career as a leader and your perspective as a leader as well, right?
Yes, definitely, because you never. I mean, after all these episodes in my life, I always used to think you do not know what the other person is undergoing, the battles they are under fighting at, right? So that gave a lot of empathy, right? And that helped me to become a more team player. That leadership with empathy really helped in terms of creating a very positive, productive teams. And also the way the people look at you also completely change. Learning with my child has really helped me to completely see the world in a different lens, I should say. Because prior to that, I always thought, for me, perfection, right? How can you probably not even know this? If a work is given, there's only one way to finish it, with perfection. I never knew that there were varying degrees of output that is possible, and how do you still get an best in class output with different set of people in the team with you. That was the biggest learning that I had from a personal episode, and that helped me to handhold people, coach people, and bring them along rather than expecting some miracles to come out of the team, right? So that was the biggest learning, and I sincerely adopt that in my professional life as well. And how do you take your team along? How do you ensure that, how do you equip them to give their best that they are able to, and bring the entirety into a best in class output. So that was the biggest learning for me, which definitely came from a personal friend.
Yeah, this is amazing, right? We started off the conversation about lack of self-confidence and the cultural influences and stuff, but what you've achieved now and the people you mentor and stuff, like they'll be just so amazed listening to the story, like how you as a person, you've changed and you're going through issues, but you are very optimistic and you are there for others to inspire. That's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So, can you share a favorite quote or a book or a mantra that keeps you going?
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Just believe in yourself, and all of us have good potential. Realize your potential, believe in yourself, and just do what you're supposed to do with passion and sincerity, and you'll get there.
So, what is that piece of advice that really shifted your mindset when you were going through that lull moment for a bit?
Multiple things. First thing is that normal is not normal. Because we always tend to see, right, even if you go to say a doctor or take some medical test, there's always a normal figure that comes in, but that's all because of what the world has seen, right? It might sound a little philosophical, but that was an eye opener for me. So nothing is, there is nothing called as a normal range in life. It's all mindset. So if a child is different, so be it, right? And yeah, it is not, maybe the child is not as the majority of the people in this world is, because the standards have been defined by us, right? And I mean, of course, it didn't strike to me so easily, but you have to really live it through to really understand this. You have to really live it through, and there were a lot of moments that I started admiring in my child, and small happiness that I used to gain in small progress, etc., coupled with these kind of discussions. And don't think, the moment I think about future, it was always overwhelming. Oh my god, what am I going to do? What happens after she grows up? That was really scary. So living the moment, doing things at this point in time, and I mean, of course, it didn't come so easily. I used to definitely break down. It used to create a lot of stress, etc. But I was more positive for most of the times of the day, and those dull moments started reducing. And it was a transition, I would say. It was not just an immediate move from this mode to other. And more, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, more and more of positiveness I had, more and more of a betterment I saw in myself, in my outcome, in my child's outcome. I think it came in, and it was all about understanding that normal, there's nothing called normal in this world. The world is diverse, and there has to be a lot of inclusivity that you need to build in, right? While as a woman, we always think that we need to be getting a right platform. There is we have to have good representation. We should not be kind of set back because of the gender bias, etc. It's the same thing for any other diversity that we're talking about, and my child is one of such things, right? So all these things came together, and it was, what do I say, it was it was over a period of time, continuous thinking, talking, and then it sinks in. And then you over a period of time you realize, and you have to feel it from inside for you to really understand and overcome all this. And that's what I believe it happened to me.
Mhm. So you've had an incredible career spanning decades and an amazing life with so much rich experience. Now, looking back, what is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
If I look back at my formative years, I already mentioned in the earlier part of the conversation, right? Lacking that self confidence, because of which I think I have been very hard on myself. I always thought that I'm not probably giving my best. Yeah, so if I have another chance, probably I'll give a good pat on myself, saying that you're doing really well and continue to do, and probably wouldn't be so hard on myself. I shouldn't have been so hard on myself. I think that's what I would like. I would probably like to resonate with the younger generation. Just see the positive side, and all of us have a lot of inbuilt potential. See how you're able to bring that out, and just keep going. Believe in yourself, keep going, and you automatically you'll be able to perform the best.
What has been your proudest achievement so far in your career?
See, now I'm almost 26 years in my career. There have been many moments, right from, as I mentioned, breaking out of my comfort zone and taking up a challenging project and having a great outcome for that, or many logos that I have won and projects that I've delivered, because of which there are a lot of awards, etc., that I've got. Many such proud moments, if you ask me, that I would probably have in my career, and everything is very unique and special to me. But beyond that, if you ask me, the kind of experience that I create to my stakeholders, right? So if you go to Viji, there is some certainty experience that you would create. And no, I think that is one of the biggest thing that I would like to cherish in my entire career. So far, whichever stakeholders that I interact with, I believe I was able to create that kind of an experience. In fact, my company's tagline once upon a time was called "Experience Certainty," which really impacted me so much. The value, the meaning it carries, right? So I think that's what I would strive to do in any transaction I do, be it at home, be it at work. No, to ensure that I'm able to get that certainty experience to all the stakeholders. And I see that has really created a lot of positive, long lasting relationship with my customers, with my peers, with my team members, with my supervisors. So I think that is the one that I would be really proud of, that I would want to cherish in my career, the kind of experience that I create to my stakeholders.
Very nice. So the tech industry is rapidly evolving. So what is that new piece of technology, the shining technology that really excites you, something that you're really looking forward would be a game changer in the industry?
Um, if you when I started my career, the technology breakthroughs were happening, say in 1 2 years the time frame, etc. There was an internet boom, .com boom, mobile boom, etc. But if you see now, between two quarterly reports, the complete business operating model changes. A company perishes or a company really performs well. Overnight, an idea comes up. So I think all of us are now talking about AI and the disruptions it's creating in the industry. Earlier, it was all cloud and how do I make things much more lighter in operations and things like that. So I think um, the technology is really evolving at a very tremendous pace. The current one being an AI trend, which is completely disrupting the industry, with complete autonomous operations, with humans just in loop for very high end value added tasks. Right? I think that's the current disruption that we see in the industry. But having said that, I think things are only going to become much more advanced, much more faster and evolving. So what is very, very important that I have learned is to always be on top of the trends and ensure that you're able to exploit that and make yourself uh, unlearn and learn and make yourself equipped so that you are able to thrive in this. There is nothing that this technology is going to completely change the world. It's going to be ever evolving, and the pace is unimaginable, and the impact is global. Earlier it was some kind of localized impact was there, but today, for example, you would have seen the deep seek thing complete 2 3 days. It completely shook the world, right? So even though, I mean, it was still in the AI space, it was nothing new. Chat GPTs were there, and many other companies were there, open AI and all companies were there doing things, and DeepSeek became the talk of the town, and it was completely disruptive in the complete market, right? So such things are going to happen, and it is about how you equip and stay ahead of the curve. As long as you're focusing on that and being very aware of what's happening in the market, I think that's what is going to strive us through the business.
Very nice. Finally, what message would you like to leave for professionals, especially those aspiring to leadership roles in tech?
First thing, just recollecting my own experiences. This is what I believe will help an individual to navigate and get into leadership roles. First thing is that have your foundation very strong, right? It is very, very important from a technology standpoint to be very, very hands-on when you begin your career, and be very, very strong with your foundation. That's going to really help you through whatever technologies evolve, etc. The fundamental building blocks are going to be the same, and that helps you to keep equipped when newer things come in, right? When newer things come in, otherwise you become outdated because you don't understand how it works. For me to understand how a newer thing works, it's important that I have the underlying foundation layer very strong. But once it is very strong, you're able to understand and appreciate how new things work and what would work, what would not work. So my first piece of advice would be to ensure that you are completely hands-on and have a very, very strong understanding about the foundations, the technology, what, irrespective of wherever it could be, any industry, but it's very important that you understand and have a very strong foundation, uh, and and then build on it, right? And at any point in time, do not to lose the technology relevance. Whatever leadership role you do, it is about, always remembering the basics, and ensuring that you apply that in whatever level of abstraction that you need, and that helps you to have a lot of meaningful conversations. People respect you, and they respect you not just for your leadership but for the subject depth and breadth that you would have. So have a right T factor, have a good breadth, so that you're able to understand at a bird's eye view. And in certain areas, it's very, very important that you have some depth as well, so that you're able to understand the evolving things better, and that automatically brings you up as a leader. So that's going to be, because other leadership attributes, end of the day, yes, if a person is wanting to be a leader, they would definitely develop. But this foundational element is going to be very important if you have to sustain in the technology space as a leader. I think that's what I would probably recommend people to do.
Thank you so much, Viji. Thanks for your time. It was just amazing listening to your story. From someone growing up in a conservative society to someone who's now head of sales in TCS. It's like your life, your story is definitely going to be an inspiration to many, many, many women out there, and to especially for many mothers and young mothers who are thinking about whether they need to leave their career or how are they going to navigate some challenges possibly. Definitely, really nice, beautiful story, and really appreciate you spending the time with us.
Thank you so much, Meena. Thanks for this opportunity. And yeah, I hope if it touches anybody's life and they're able to pick up something from the story, I'll be really happy for that. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.